What is up, guys? Welcome back to the channel. Guys, came across this video, thought it was interesting, at least by the title, because we here with Zeihan. Geopolitics is the channel. But I came across this video, Scandinavia after America. Y'all know I do a lot of history stuff, or usually I will do some history stuff, and I've done quite a bit over Scandinavia in the past. In a couple of other countries as individuals, but yeah, I wanted to see what this was all about. Y'all know I had my first opportunity less than a week. I'll be in Sweden and Copenhagen, so be on the lookout for that. So it'll be my first time outside of America, so that's going to be interesting. But just knowing the history of where I'm going in Sweden, how long things have been there, that's probably gonna be one of the main culture shocks for me. Is just seeing that I'm gonna be walking amongst things that been here probably since the 1700s, 1800s and stuff like that. So I had a Viking one too. I did a lot of Viking history as well. So let's check this out, see what we got. It's short and sweet, so let's see.
Everyone, Peter Zeihan here, coming to you from Doubtful Sound, and in this next in our series of regional geopolitics in a post-American world, I want to talk about Northern Europe, specifically the Scandinavian region. Now, this is an area that has been fractured by history. You've got islands, you've got peninsulas, you've got de facto city-states, but while they have been powerful in the past, they've kind of been sleeping for the last 300 years. And during the Cold War and the post-Cold War era, it's been fractured into a number of different governments. But I think the best way to think about this is not so much a collection of countries, but a family of Vikings who are getting to know each other again. The original Vikings were the Danes and the Swedes, who basically went off, raided and pillaged, and founded little trading depots everywhere that they went, and some of those depots eventually rose to become significant countries in themselves. Think of Riga in Latvia, or Oslo in Norway, or Reykjavik in Iceland. But by the time we get to the modern era, they had been broken into different spheres of influence. In the post-Cold War environment, however, especially now with the Ukraine war happening, we're seeing a changing of fortunes as these countries are rediscovering each other. And we're already in an environment where a lot of them consider themselves so familial that they already have a lot of joint embassies around the world. But if there's one thing they're all concerned about, it's Russia. Denmark is the last country approaching the Baltic Sea, so that if the Russians ever make a bid to get in the open ocean, they go by them. The Norwegians control the northern coastline, so they know the North Point is something they're responsible for. Estonia, Latvia, and Lithuania used to be Russian colonies under the Soviet period, and Sweden is a mid-sized power that was ultimately smashed by Russian power 3 centuries ago, and only recently has...
And I know I've done quite a bit of videos. I think I have a few... I know I may have a few... somebody sent me one of why Sweden, or I think it was why Sweden didn't get invaded, or why didn't Sweden invade Russia or something like that. But I know for the most part, when it came to wars, Sweden was kind of neutral during all these times, stuff like that. Somebody sent me, I haven't looked at it. I don't think I looked at it yet, but I do have some videos lined up for just history back during the World War II times about Sweden. So I always find that interesting, especially when it comes to wars. Now, we learned that in school. I think we just didn't go to the... I think we learned the basics and, you know, the common things that you would learn about the wars and stuff, the most important thing, but we never went to the extent to learn above and beyond. And it's a lot of information left out when we learn history here.
It's kind of emerged.
They don't have enough time to
teach
it.
Russian power 3 centuries ago, and only recently has kind of...
Oh, or it was Nazi Germany. It was either Russia or Nazi Germany that I had. Why Sweden was neutral. I don't think I've done a video. It was one of those. It was either Russia or Germany at the time. So those were the two. I'm gonna have to find that video.
Kind of emerged, whereas Finland was both a Swedish territory and a Russian territory based on which time frame you're looking at, and only really became independent in a traditional sense in the last decade or so, as it's broken away from its Finlandization programs, which were basically a way that the Soviets used to crush Finns' strategic autonomy. What we're seeing now is this whole cluster of countries coming back together, all on the same side of the same geopolitical orientation, no longer fractured by other powers, with Sweden absolutely being the center weight of all of it. It's probably best to think of most of these countries not so much as countries, but as cities that just happen to own another swath of territory. So in the case of, say, Riga or Copenhagen or Oslo, over half, in fact, almost 3/4 of the population is in that one city, and the rest of the territory just kind of hangs on. Sweden is the exception. I mean, yes, Stockholm is by far the largest, but it actually has a populated zone in the south that is agricultural. There are a number of cities going up and down the Baltic Sea coast. And so it is arguably as powerful, if not more powerful, than all of the others put together. And now that Sweden is emerging from its traditional neutrality and starting to write its own security policies, it is going to be a major force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, and then Sweden, didn't they recently join NATO as well?
A couple things, security policies, it is going to be a major force to be reckoned with. A couple things about this region to keep in mind. Number one, it is very, very naval. Because of the Baltic Sea, because of the Gulf of Bothnia, this is a zone that if they're going to survive, they have to do so in the context of having a powerful navy to keep potential rivals at bay. And that means, number two, it's actually fairly easy for them to partner with other powers from out of region, assuming for the moment that those other powers are also naval. Because if they were to partner with, say, the French or the Germans, who are primarily land powers, these countries would see themselves overwhelmed. They're just not big enough. Sweden doesn't even have 10 million people versus, say, France is roughly 60. The whole region put together can't add up to a France, much less a Germany. But if you bring in the United Kingdom, you've got a very different sort of power dynamic. And the United Kingdom, like the Swedes, like the Danes, like the Estonians, really doesn't want to see a single large mega power emerge in the Eurasian or the European space, because that would be a threat to their naval independence. And so the Brits have always gotten along spectacularly with all of the Scandinavians, and now that the Swedes and the Finns are ditching neutrality, the partnership between London and these places is very strong. To a lesser degree, the United States is in the same place. Now, the United States overall is looking to slim down its security commitments moving forward, but it doesn't take a lot of cooperation between the Americans and, say, the Finns and the Swedes and the Norwegians in order to achieve some outside outcomes, because all of the Scandinavians just want to maintain independence, which means they're always going to be, to a degree, hostile to anything that happens in Moscow, and to a lesser degree, continental Europe. That means for a very small price, the United States can really achieve some outsized outcomes working through some very capable partners. So we should start to think of the relationship between the Americans and the Baltics and the Norwegians and the Scandinavians, however you want to define the cluster, as very similar to the American relationship with Australia.
Become an ally.
A powerful, creative ally that punches above its weight, that's going to do its own thing for its own reason, but which dovetails with American power moving forward. All right, that's it for me. Catch you guys next time.
Because that's the most important thing right there, making sure you got some allies. But no, like I said, I know even going to Sweden, I'm going to have the opportunity to be able to go to like different museums and stuff like that. That's my goal. Of course, explore. But yeah, man, I enjoyed learning some history, and really just learning the thing we probably briefly talked about in school, and now expanding my knowledge to learn more, especially now learning more about the world instead of just the United States. I think that's the problem here in the States. We worry more about the United States versus like, hey, there's a whole world out there that we need to be learning about. So, okay. Baltic countries, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania. I thought it was like 4 Baltic or considered Baltic countries. But as a Finn stating the opportunity with the best part of this in spot on, I don't recognize the city-state analysis, but otherwise the naval independence in relation to Russia and mid-Europe sounds about right. So, but I thought it was interesting. I thought it was interesting what he would talk about. This is my first time coming across his channel. So he got some other videos down here. Turkey after America, Western Europe after America. So I don't know. He looked like a professor. Looked like a geography professor or something. At least that's what it seemed like. So, but yep, that's all I have for this video. So y'all make sure y'all hit that subscribe button. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Like I said, somebody sent me some stuff before. At least on Sweden, but I know we're talking about all of Scandinavia, Denmark and Norway, but on Sweden, I end up getting a lot of stuff when it came to the World Wars, Cold Wars, all those different things. Where Sweden stood on things. I also got where Denmark, Norway stood on things. I think Finland as well. So if you want to include the Nordics, Finland as well. So, but hey, hit that subscribe button, send out those recommendations. Y'all be blessed, be the best, and be you. I'm out.